Nowadays, the longer the password, the better it is because it changes the way the computer saves it, the way it's encrypted in the back end, right? So you could have this is still not a great password, but you could have ice cream, 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 and that would be 10 times better than just having ice cream, just because of the length of it. But definitely mix it up whenever you can. Use uppercase, use lowercase, use numbers, and use special characters whenever possible. All that changes the key of the password.
Mhm. Think about it this way, right? So there's 10 numbers, right? 0 through 9. And there's an alphabet of letters, and then there's, special symbols and spaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um
Spaces.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like each one of these things, I have a chart in one of the presentations I did last week or week before, and it was just taking Chat GPT's hardware and going, we had that hardware. How fast could we break through a password? And I think it was like 12 or 14 characters, alphanumeric, with special symbols. Like you could bust through it in 8 minutes or something like that,
Yep.
right? And it's just a matter of it's a compute question more than anything, right? So it's how many sequences of 0 through 9 are there? How many sequences of the alphabet are there? How many sequences of so the more you can complicate this thing, the harder it gets. As soon as you jump over to like 16 characters, oh, there's the chart right there. Stacy's
I
got it.
got you.
Yeah. So I mean, you get into 12 characters, alphanumeric, numbers, uppercase, lowercase, symbols. 8 months is the crack time on it, right? You go to 13, it turns into 47 years. So I just say 16 characters, but make it a phrase.
Yes.
And my thing is always I love cheese, and it's I Stacy's gotten
I would
questions
like
about I
to
love
point
cheese.
out
So
for anyone, if you try to hack SKB cyber
it is
stuff,
not the
it is
password.
not. I love cheese. Okay.
No, but it's one of those things, right? Piggy, I love ice cream, but I space L, 0 VE or 3, do something like that and mix it up, and then it's a phrase, and then if we have to change that password, we modify it and we roll through it that way. But like in the case of our ice cream shop, right? That bank account, I'm sure there's a way to add multi-factor. So it could be a text to your phone, it could be an app with a number. Um, I carry around USB keys, these UB keys, FIDO. It's just like a fast online identity or something like that. That's what it stands for. But like, essentially, it's an encryption key that's a physical device, and you touch it, and I have a pin on it, right? So that's what unlocks all these things. It's hard to hack, and you have to physically be in possession of the thing for it to work. So it's not the kind of thing where somebody could send me an authorization and I go, oh yeah, sure, fine, that's me, whatever, because that happens. We have bank presidents that's happened
Yeah.
to. And next thing you know, we have a hacker sitting in the bank president's account. You know what I mean? And like you as the consumer of the ice cream shop are like, it's just my email. Like, what's the big deal? Why would they even want it, right? Then they can pretend to be you. You'll send payments where you shouldn't send payments. Money goes missing, so on and so forth, right? It's just one of those things where the tools are not difficult. You just have to know to go turn them on.
Yeah.
And the same thing like in your point of sale, right? So one of you guys made the point of, somebody's changed your routing numbers and things like that, right? Totally legit, right? If you use a QuickBooks or anything like that, or um, I don't know, you run a business, right? You've got 8 million things that you probably pay for and get payment through online. Like you have to execute strong security in there. The 12 kids working at your ice cream shop should not be able to get to that layer of your system, no matter what. And then you ultimately should have some sort of a multi-factor. So if they figure out that your password is "I love ice cream!" exclamation point, they still have to have your cell phone or a key or something there. And alternatively, you're sitting at home and it's 10 o'clock at night and these kids are running your shop and you're like, oh, these kids are the best. They would never do anything. And all of a sudden your phone lights up that like somebody's requesting access. Red light, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's a problem. There's a flag, right? We know there's an issue. So it's really about finding, I shouldn't say finding, it's about taking the time to really consciously implement those sort of things.
Yeah, most things that we use nowadays, most applications do go to the extent to add this security on. It
Mhm.
just it's up to the user, it's up
Right.
to the person to enable it and go, turn it on all the way.
Yeah.
And MFA, multi-factor authentication. I just want to, you know, drop a quick note for the SKB ice cream owner that when I was going through security training, the way they taught us MFA was it's something you have and something you know,
Mhm.
right? So it's two things. It's not just the password because that's something you know, and then you want something you have. So nowadays it's the the authenticator applications that cycle through numbers, right? That's a new number that you have. It used to be
Yeah.
you used to have to carry a physical key that would
Right.
cycle through numbers, and that was the thing that you had, right? The
Say
key, the
doubles.
physical
Yeah.
thing. But nowadays there's apps for it, and like Keith was saying, you could use a USB key where you just tap it against your phone. You can use an application to where it reads off a number, or the authenticators nowadays the Microsoft Authenticator, I really like it. It lets you know somebody's trying to log on, and then it has you enter a random number into the authenticator to verify that it's you sitting in front of the computer.
So, okay, I'm at home. It's been a long day. I have the kids running the ice cream shop. I am giving baby Keith a bath. Keith Jr. He is such a problem. Oh my gosh. And I get a bing on my phone that's like, is this you? And oh my gosh, the kids are at the store. They're probably trying to, communicate something or get something or order something. And so I just hit the button. Yes, it's them. It's fine. They're safe.
Don't do that.
What do you mean don't do that?
Don't do that.
Why?
This is one of those trust but verify moments, right? So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where all those. That's why we set up all those extra features, to be alerted. So now that you are alerted, you want to make sure that you pause what you're doing, and if it's not you initializing that connection or that security flag, go and check what's going on because something is making that flag go off. Something
Right.
is trying to get into your account.
It may not be my trusted employee. You mean Denny the hacker
It
may
could be
have
Denny
rolled
the
up
hacker.
outside
Denny the
again.
hacker.
Ugh, that guy will not go away.
But I mean, but the same thing applies. So you run an ice cream shop, you have a lot of freezers, right? I would imagine.
Mhm.
So freezer breaks down. I'm dealing with Vendor X. Vendor X just told me it's a $50,000 part or new freezer, whatever, right? So he sends me over this thing and I get an invoice and it's $50,000 and I'm like, okay, do I click the button and I do a wire transfer from my bank or do I call this person and say, I just want to confirm? Because that's the smart way to handle it, right? Like, just confirm. I know we're going back to old school, and I know not everybody's a huge fan of talking on the phone, but like, pick up the phone. It's a lot of money if it goes missing because somebody's spoofed this person. And it doesn't have to be you. Your system may not be exposed at all, but your vendor may be exposed. And
Right.
like, if they send you a thing, it's just smart business, right? Pick up the phone and just go, hey, just want to make sure this is from you. Your account number is this. Yes. Okay, good. We'll
Yeah.
authorize the payment, right? And that way you're not out 50 grand and this person's not going, well, I'm not going to serve you because you never paid your bill. So good luck running your ice cream store without freezer.
Mhm.
And you're sitting there kind of looking confused because you're out 50 grand and you don't have a business because you don't have a freezer. This is one of those things like a 2-second phone call would have resolved this entire thing. And a lot of times that phone call does not occur and it creates issues. So,
Now, okay, so I have done some training with my employees. I've told them they can't put their devices, they don't have the passwords anymore. I did the whole segmentation thing. They can use the guest network if they need to be online.
Mhm.
Let's see. what about like, okay, I have the company computer and I have to take it home. Like I still have work to do. Is there a problem hooking it up to my home internet? Or is there any risk hooking it up to my home internet? Or am I good to go?
I mean, inherently, there's always risk, right? There's anytime you bring I'll deviate the question a little bit, right? It's not going to really probably apply to the ice cream shop, but like a lot of folks listening probably would have heard of the term VPN, a virtual private network, right? It's this thing where I bring my laptop someplace and I establish a connection back to my office. It's virtual, it's software, it's you click a couple buttons and it may send you a code on your phone or something like that, right? But like inherently what that does is it connects one end to another, right? So if we have buggy machines at home, if we have a virus running around, if your 19-year-old son is in the basement doing who knows yeah right who knows what with computers down there on your production network, you've just created a path between that environment and your home environment. Now I would say, and this is just kind of a, a gross assumption, but I think it probably applies especially in the small business environments, right? Most of what you're running is probably not going to require that, right? You probably are not running a huge accounting system at your ice cream store. You're probably not running a huge inventory or customer management system. So a lot of your services are going to be running on the internet. That's probably the best case scenario. If you had to bring the computer home or go sit at the library or Starbucks or the Nook or whatever, right? Like you can do this without too much issue because there's a level of security there. Like we're not openly porting the rest of the world to your inventory management bookkeeping system, right? Because it's on the internet and there's security between you and that website, and then your username, password, multi-factor, all these bits and pieces to get you hooked to it, and then it can't take the problems that exist on your PC or the network you're in and go and inject it on that website. That's just not how that works. But for some of you folks who've got more established environments where you do have systems you need to connect back to the office on, VPN is a really common thing. And I mean, I understand the risk behind it, and I'm not a huge fan of it because of the risks, and there's other ways to do it. But do I think it creates a massive security hole that we should immediately stop doing it? No, but it definitely, as the IT guy and cyber person, I sit back and kind of go, better ways.
Oh my gosh, this guy that was sitting over in the corner, Denny, he just told me that he's a musician and he just gave me this little drive to plug into the computer to hear his latest song. And I plugged it in and it is great. But now my computer is running really kind of funny. Like,
Yeah, don't do that either.
Yeah, so if you do have to take your computer home, I'd say don't use it for anything that's not business related, right? So don't plug my demo USB into your computer, because Denny the musician might also be Denny the hacker and could
but
get
he
you
was
to.
so nice.
Okay, but all right. So we've worked for large corporations for years, right? Like that do penetration testing and hacking and ethical hacking and this whole thing, right? Like game one is they take a bag full of USB drives and just go spread them around the office and the parking lot, and you just wait because they're loaded with a payload, and the payload comes and it talks back to the mothership, and that's how we know your users are picking up random devices off the street and plugging them into their computers. Like, I won't give details, but we had one that Denny and I were in years ago, and essentially a law enforcement officer picked up a USB drive and plugged it into one of the computers in the squad cars, and basically it turned into an FBI issue because that's a federal database, and
Because their network tied back,
yeah. And so it was like it's this enormous thing, and it was all best intentions, but it just exposed the entire chain of risk.
Good thing
Right?
it was us doing it.
Right,
not
exactly.
Denny the hacker.
Jenny the hacker, right? You know, but I mean, I would say just as a okay, so USB used to be like the only best fast way to get data from point A to point B, right? If Denny needed to share a file with me, that's what we would do, right? And just put it on a USB drive, slide it across the table, and pass it over here. It was more contained than dropping things on a network. What I'll tell you now is there are a lot of good services online. OneDrive is the one that we kind of live on, SharePoint, right? Things like that. It's just as easy for me to go upload a file there. And if there's an issue with the file, it's getting scanned and encrypted as it goes. So there's like a cross check going on there.
Yeah. I want to just side note and say, if you're subscribed to Microsoft and you're using the OneDrive, like please use all the features in it, because it does scan your files. It scans it for anything that may be malicious, scans for any scripts that may run on it. So yeah, if you don't have to use a USB, don't. If you live in the Microsoft cloud, definitely leverage all of the features that they put out for you.
Yep, absolutely. USB is funny, like, and so this is like on a corporate level. I've had to have arguments with the internal IT folks that are going, we're killing all access to USB, right? The ports no longer work for storage on your machines, right? And the reality of our world is, like, sometimes you kind of have to have that to go put Windows on it to restore a machine or update a switch, or you know what I mean? Like, it's the avenue that allows you to do IT guy stuff to machines, right? Outside of that, there is not a lot of good use for those sticks anymore that really average Joe should really want to put that into their computer. It's just